All right, boys, let's get it. I'm hype. All right. So, for those of you who have not been watching the recent live streams, today we're going to be finishing the last little bit of single player content I have left to do in this game. We have beaten all of the time trials, all of Race Park, and almost all of Grand Prix. However, we still have 200cc left to go, so let's get it. The ultimate unplanned live stream, yeah. Where's my beanie? My beanie like looks off. It looks like uncentered. Good enough. We played the last live stream using the minecart. The minecart from Minecraft. I'm feeling a change of pace today. Yeah, that's the term. Feeling a change of pace. And I low-key love this custom cart that I designed. With the decals above the wheels, the racing stripe, the little Easter egg on the back. It just looks good. So I think we're going to run this cart. And we're going to be going into supersonic speed. So we're doing 200cc today, boys. And realistically, as long as we don't have any hiccups, we don't like lose an entire Grand Prix, we should be able to get this done in like under 2 hours. Which is probably for the better, because last night, what time did we end the stream last night? Like 11 o'clock? So I got less than 5 hours of sleep for work today. Same situation tonight. I need to go to bed at a reasonable time, so I get a reasonable amount of sleep for work tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see. Also, apologies if anyone saw me start the live stream, end the live stream, and then start the live stream again. I'll be honest with y'all. Alright, I'll share my truth. I was live for about 3.5 minutes before I realized I had to end the stream and restart it. And the reason for that is because I use Streamlabs OBS as my streaming software, and for the most part, I really like Streamlabs OBS. But it does have some weird issues and glitches every once in a while. And one glitch that truthfully hasn't happened in a really long time is the multi-streaming feature just not working. So by that I mean, like, if I want to go live on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, I will hit the multi-stream button, and it should, in theory, stream to both Twitch and YouTube at the same time. But an issue I used to have kind of common, it was like annoying how often this would happen in the past, is I would go live and it would stream to Twitch but not YouTube, or it would stream to YouTube but not Twitch. And thankfully, it seems like for the most part that glitch has been fixed. Because like I said, it used to be super common. Like 1 every 3 live streams. And that's lowballing it. Like, it was almost every other live stream. 50% of the time. I would go live, and it just would not start my stream on Twitch, or it would not start my stream on YouTube. So I'd have to restart the live stream. This was an issue I was having a couple months ago. Like I said, thankfully, I thought they fixed it. But I got a little blast from the past today. Because when I started the live stream, I went live on Twitch, but not YouTube. So I had to cancel the live stream, which is why y'all might have seen me on camera for like 2 seconds. Like, I was live for just barely 3 minutes. And then I had to turn the stream off and turn it back on again. I love it. Whenever something doesn't work, we just turn it off and on again. But yeah. I really thought they had fixed that glitch in the Streamlabs OBS software. It's like I said, I haven't had that happen to me in months. But it's not the end of the world. I'm just complaining because I like to complain, alright? Nothing makes me happier than ranting and being a little bit of an angry person. Sorry, that sounds weird. I love being angry. No, I do like to complain, though. So, I just wanted to complain for a second about that, and also explain why. I went live for like 3 minutes and then deleted the stream. It's very awkward when that happens. Just like, I don't know. It feels like you get caught doing something you're not supposed to do. Yeah, you're so toxic. I know, bro. I'm sorry. I gotta change. I need to be better. I need to do better. But I'm excited for tonight. Because after tonight, we will have pretty much finished this game. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of little things that we haven't done yet. Like, we haven't 100% the game. We haven't unlocked every car, part, or gadget. nor have we unlocked every character skin. But a lot of that stuff, I, one, don't care about. Like, I respectfully don't care about unlocking every gadget. Sorry, could care less. But also, like, some of the characters we haven't unlocked, or like the skins we haven't unlocked, haven't even been released yet, because we're waiting on DLC to come out. So, I don't know, while like the completionist in me is a little upset that we're not gonna have this game fully completed by the end of the day, the realist does not care. Like, I don't know. Glad we don't have a 13-year-old asking for mod again. Yeah, you know, maybe it just comes with age, but I feel like if you're asking for mod and you've only been in the stream a couple times, that answer should be obvious. And it's not a hard no. Listen, I'm not trying to be a dick. Like, anyone can get mod, but no one is getting mod after only watching for a week. Especially if you're asking for it, like, every other day. Because at that point, it just becomes a bit of a repetition that is not appreciated. That's the nice way of putting it. I was trying to think of a nice way to word that. And again, if someone asks for mod, my answer will almost never be just blunt no. Unless you're like a troll. Unless you show up in the chat like saying the N-word, then the answer's no. But like, any of my chatters could realistically become mod. I just, one, am far too small of a streamer to mod everyone. That's why I only have like 6 mods. Half of them don't even exist anymore. They haven't logged into Twitch in years. So let's be honest with ourselves. I've got like 3 mods. And secondly, I am still relatively like getting back into the swing of things. I don't want to say I'm new to live streaming. I've been live streaming for 10 years, but I took a 6-month break. And I've only returned to live streaming very recently. So like, I haven't been live streaming again long enough for anyone to even earn moderator. Like I said, it takes more than just a couple streams of showing up to become mod. And I feel like I haven't even done enough streams since my return for anyone to get mod, because I would like my moderators, if I do add more moderators in the near future, because again, I don't even know if I want to add more mods. That's something that I feel like could wait until maybe a bit of a, I don't know, bigger streamer. Like, realistically, at my size, aka a couple hundred followers, I don't need mods. It's a nice thing to have, but I can usually manage a chat of 5 people on my own, you know? It's the one benefit of only having 5 people in the chat. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, like, I've just not been live streaming long enough since my return for anyone to even, like, get mod in the first place. You know, does that make sense? I feel like my wording is maybe not the most clear, but it makes sense in my mind. Cool. I'll take that, actually. That's a really good item for me right now. Anyways, what was I saying? I was saying something before this and I don't remember. I don't know. Please stop. I didn't get the item in time to dodge. And now we're gonna get destroyed. That sucks. Oh no, dude, I'm literally sliding all over the place. This is terrible. Actually, I can give you a really good example. Just to end this conversation in a bit more clarity, because again, I realize I'm not explaining myself perfect. I'll give you a good example. Someone who has been in the chat almost every single day since I've returned to Twitch is my boy Sonic Generation fan. And I wouldn't even give him mod right now. Because sure, he's in the chat every day. But that's only been for like 2 months. 2 months isn't long enough for me to know if he's going to stick around. 2 months isn't long enough for me to gauge whether or not he would be a good moderator. Even though I think he would. I don't have enough data to pull from. And I was trying to be nice about it. Listen, like I said, yeah, I was trying to be nice yesterday and just explain, like, no one's getting mod right now. But at the same time, if you're asking multiple times for mod in the same live stream, the answer's not going to change. If anything, it's going to become more concrete. I think that is like a life lesson, if you will. And again, I'm trying to be nice because I'm not upset about it. But I think it's just a thing where if the answer is no, we should all just accept that the answer is no and not continuously ask. Like, when I'm working the corner and I ask a white-collar businessman if I can offer him a good time for $200 and he says no, I'm not going to ask him again. I might lower the price for him. But you got to accept that that man's at least loyal to something, whether it's his wife, the grind, or just not being caught with a corner side hoe. What are you even on about? So, listen, I thought this was a judgment-free zone. I thought I could talk about my side hustles. That's a crazy thing to say. Comparing working the corner street, comparing selling your body for money to a side hustle is kind of an insane thing. That's my bad. Listen, I didn't think it was that crazy, but my bad. Oh my god. I feel like I'm driving so poorly, bro. Lucky. Yeah. That's about all I gotta say about that. Like I said, I don't want to be mean about it. I'm not trying to, like, you know, not trying to be a dick. I just will not be making anyone mod for the near future. I have no reason to. Oh my god. I am really tired though, bro. I felt it today at work. Like, the 5 hours of sleep was immediately starting to kick in after my lunch break. And I just felt like a wall. Where every time I try to wake myself up or get my energy back, maybe, like, you know, light myself up, try to keep my eyes super focused and open and zoned in, there would just be like an invisible wall in front of me, preventing me from doing that. Like, at one point, I got up and just walked to the cooler to get more water in my water bottle. And I thought, like, standing up and walking around would help me. And it did for like 2 seconds. And then I felt myself, like, actively passing out at the cooler. That sucks. Like, it felt like I was fighting, like, a demonic being. Like a supernatural force. Except instead of it being the devil that I was up against, I'm just fighting against the goddamn sleep fairy, the Sandman, which, by the way, that's a creepy ass wives' tale. Like, I feel like it's past my generation. Like, I didn't really grow up in the generation that, you know, you had your parents talking about the Sandman or like other weird like childlike creatures. I don't know. I can't think of a word for it. But like, why the hell are we telling kids that some random man was visiting them in their sleep and putting sand in their eyes? That's creepy as hell. Okay, I've got the item. Dude, I thought I missed it for a second. Yeah, the sleepy time demon. Ow. Yeah, I was visited by the Benadryl Hat Man. Okay. I'm not gonna talk about that. I can't believe I just completely missed, bro. That's embarrassing. No. Man, I just barely missed. That sucks so much. Dude, I really was focused too. I was so focused trying to line up that shot. Oh, hey, whoa. Disrespectful, first off. There's no way he just did that to me. Anyways, how are you doing today, Sam? How are we feeling? No, I just got back into first place. I'm already getting blue shelled. I am so fucking salty. Yeah, I feel like, dude, I was talking about something, and then I completely sidetracked myself to talk about the moderator thing, and now I forget what I was talking about before. I used to have 12-hour watches. I felt the cold hands of the Sandman creeping around my eyes. So, just make sure I'm understanding you correct. Like, you're talking about 12-hour shifts, right? Like, working for 12 hours? I'm assuming. But I also wanted to clarify so I wasn't incorrect. No, yeah. Today was rough at work. Like, especially because I would have, like, little moments of downtime where I wasn't doing anything. And that was almost more difficult. Like, at least when I was actively working. This proves nothing. Let's go. I don't know. The repetitiveness and the focus that I had to give to working kind of kept me awake. You know, at least I was doing something. My brain was staying active. But when I had a little bit of downtime, immediately, it was like my body was just turning itself off. Like a light switch had flipped and my brain went dark. And you know, I've never actually fallen asleep at work before, but I've come real close. Wait, I guess it's actually a lie. Wait, I 100% just lied, y'all. At my old job, I took like a 30-minute nap one day. To be fair, my old job was working for an amusement park, and the amusement park I worked at would be closed in the winter because, you know, you can't run the rides in the cold. No, I'm so stupid, bro. That would have been such a cool shortcut if I didn't mess it up. I'm sad. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. At my old job, I worked at an amusement park, and therefore, for like 3 months out of the year, during the winter, we weren't open. And because I was full-time, I still had a job, you know, I was still getting paid. Still getting my 40 hours a week. But oftentimes, there wasn't much for us to do. So there was one shift where me and my coworkers, our job for that shift, our only task was to basically validate paperwork. We weren't actually doing paperwork. We were just making sure that whoever did it the first time was correct. We were like double checking their work, which I'll be honest is way more boring than just doing paperwork all day. Like, paperwork is already boring. Verifying paperwork sucks even more. No one is amused in the winter, basically. So yeah, we had this shift where all we were doing all day was just verifying paperwork. And I could feel myself drifting off to sleep. It's very similar to my shift today. Like, I couldn't stop it. I was trying everything. I'll even, like, you know, I said earlier how I try to get up and go for a walk, go get water to keep myself awake. I was trying that. One thing I would try when I felt really tired at work is I would, like, pinch the inside of my hand where your thumb and your pointer finger connect. Like this little kind of, you can see, like, a very thin piece of skin. Kind of pull on it. I would just pinch that really, really hard and use, like, the pain as a way to keep me awake. Like I said, I was trying everything to stay awake. And I just still felt like I was going to drift off. And I would catch myself, like, closing my eyes. My head starts to fall down and I'd be like, fuck, I got to stay awake. Not trying to get caught sleeping on the job. But eventually, two of my ex-coworkers, two of my friends, were kind of noticing that I was actively falling asleep. Like, I was leaning over and then waking back up. Leaning over, waking back up. So they said they would cover for me. And I took a 30-minute nap in a fucking closet while they covered for me. And thankfully, no one came looking for us the entire shift. Like, I don't know why I was worried. We literally were just doing paperwork. The management team could give a fuck less. No one checked in on us. But I was still very paranoid and anxious that I would get caught. And they were very, very kind. Kind enough to cover for me, like I said. So, I guess, like I said, I have slept at work once. But, you know, they weren't paying us enough anyways. So, if you're going to pay me so little money that I think it's more worth my time to sleep on the job than do work, can you blame me? Like, if you want me to not sleep on the job, you gotta pay me a salary that is worth my time and worth me being awake. Thankfully, my new job does pay me enough where I feel like I probably should stay awake. You know, I don't want to lose this job. But I think that's why it was all the more difficult for me to stay awake today. Because, you know, I actually care about this job, so I'm not trying to get in trouble. At least I'm not trying to pass out on the clock. I was lucky on my long watches, I could explore the extremely large share drive like a pioneer. I would add everything interesting to my personal folder. Just doing, like, YouTube deep dives in the shared F drive. I'd also be able to make some tea. That actually sounds really nice. Hey, what's up, Drac? It's wonderful to see ya. I'm also, dude, I'm so excited for Pokemon Legends. I don't know. I don't want to get heartbroken again, alright? I don't want to get my trust broken again. I feel like Pokemon, ever since the Switch has released, has been a love-hate relationship for me. Some of the Pokemon games on Switch I really, really like. Some of them I do not like at all. And therefore, I'm trying not to go into it with expectations that are too high. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm really excited. I think part of the reason I'm so excited is because the Pokemon game I enjoy the most on Switch is Legends Arceus. So I'm excited to play another Legends game again. Like, I don't know, I really like the Legends series. I think it's really good. Therefore, I'm very excited to see what they do in their sophomore release of that series. The entire Harry Potter series was on there. That's hilarious. Ow, bro. Okay. Y'all gonna piss me off. Dang. You know, Sonic, where are you at? Can I hit him with this? I'm gonna purposely slow down just so I can target him. Specifically him. Not enough. Beautiful. No, 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 bro. Oh, that was not great. A little unlucky. Try not to get hit by this item. Beautiful. But yeah. My hope for tonight's live stream is that we can be done in like under 2 hours, which I think might be possible. Because last night's live stream took us about 2.5 hours of actual gameplay. And that was on 150cc. Now that we're playing 200cc, the races are going by much more quickly. And therefore, I think we can get this done in 2 hours. Maybe under 2 hours. That's my optimistic like goal, my hope. Do I think it's actually going to happen? Probably not. Phalanx is getting a Mega Evolution? Interesting. I'm curious how they're going to do Phalanx as a Mega. I will say, I had these starters like spoiled to me on Twitter, but I'm kind of okay with that because normally going into a Pokemon game, the starter Pokemon are the only ones that I want spoiled for me. Like, I don't want to pick a starter that I'm not gonna like by the end of the game. You know what I mean? Because I feel like oftentimes when you're watching Pokemon trailers and all of the media that they release leading up to a new Pokemon game, they'll show you what the first evolution starters look like. But they try to keep it a secret in regards to what the final evolutions of those starters look like. And while I appreciate the Pokemon Company trying to like keep some things a secret and make some things fun and exciting for the players, I don't like that level of surprise and uncertainty. Because if I'm picking a starter, that Pokemon is going to be with me for the rest of the game, okay? I think you are possibly a lunatic, or at the very least a psychopath, if you don't use your starter in a Pokemon game. If you just put him in the box, or even worse yet, if you release your starter into the wild. You just get rid of them. Those are straight up serial killers. I'm gonna be honest with you. Those people should be jailed on the spot. Like, you know how people say, there were no signs. We would have never seen this coming. I didn't know he was gonna shoot up an entire Taco Bell. Bitch, there were signs. And one of those signs is releasing your starter Pokemon. What? Like, that's insane. You're a crazy person. So, if I'm going to have a starter with me for the entire game, which I will, because I won't get rid of them, I won't put them in the box, my starter is going to be my companion, right by my side, the entire playthrough. If I'm going to that extent, that extreme, I want to have a starter that looks good, that I enjoy. You know how people say they want to, like, wake up next to someone that they actually like looking at? Normally, that's in the context of, like, a marriage. But, you know, in some ways, a starter Pokemon is like a marriage. Because for me, I'm loyal. and I'm never leaving them. They're never leaving me, and I'm never leaving them. In a similar way, I want a starter that I'm actually going to enjoy when it reaches its final evolution stage. So, even though I try to avoid spoilers in a Pokemon game, the one thing I will purposefully spoil for myself is what the starters look like as final evolutions. Because for me, I want to know which final evolution I like the most, which one I think looks the coolest. That way I'm not wasting my time. I'm an idiot. I keep messing that up. I don't know how I keep messing up the coin shortcuts. It's almost embarrassing at this point. Anyways, yeah, like, I want to pick a final evolution Pokemon that I'm going to enjoy, that I think looks cool, and that will be my best friend for the rest of the game. And therefore, I will spoil that purposefully, just so I don't feel, like, upset that I picked an ugly starter, or at least an ugly final evolution. Do you want to wake up next to Pokemon? You're on the furry fence. I hate how well that works as a phrase. That sounds so funny. Because it's like the perfect alliteration. It sounds like it could be a real, like, term. Like an actual, like, I don't want to say slur. Using furry fence in a derogatory way. No, like, furry fence sounds like an actual, like, phrase that people would say. But yeah, otherwise, the whole reason I went on this rant in the first place is I haven't had any of the Mega Evolutions really spoiled for me. So yeah, I didn't know Phalanx would get a Mega. I have no clue what that would look like. But I'm okay with not finding out, like I said. Not that I necessarily purposefully avoid spoilers. I'm not like one of those people where if they see spoilers online, they start going into, like, a seizure, just convulsing and crying. But I'm not purposefully seeking out spoilers, if that makes sense. Ow, dude, why are there were 3 bombs around me, bro. What is going on? I'm being drone striked. I had a shiny Totodile saved up for ZA, but I cannot send it to the game, so I guess I'm just gonna go Tepig. Yeah, I really, really like Totodile. Totodile is one of my favorite Pokemon ever. But so is Chikorita. And also, I love Tepig. I don't really like Tepig's final evolution, I'll be honest. I know that's a bit of a hot take, but I would take, like, Magnium, low-key, instead. And I know how much people generally dislike Magnium, or at the very least they make fun of Magnium for being, like, not cool, boring, soft, pretty boy. Chikorita is emergency food. Chikorita is what white girls eat when they want to lose weight. You girls want to go out and get pizza? No, I can't. I'm on an all Chikorita diet. Next thing you know, Kim Kardashian's gonna be advertising her new Chikorita Slim Shake. Yeah, I'm on a juice cleanse. I'm only drinking all natural juice made of Chikorita and Roserade. Oh my god. I got a Tepig and I named it Bake. Aw, poor guy. Now, similarly, speaking of, like, final evolutions, I'm not a huge Feraligatr fan, but I think I will be picking Totodile. Listen, it's hard to say, because I don't really like the final evolutions of any of the 3 starters in Pokemon Legends EA. Like, all 3 starters to me have very, like, middling final evolutions. They're like underwhelming. That's a better word. There's no way. None of those final evolutions excite me, nor do they really like strike a chord. None of them would be my first choice. That's what I'll say. However, I think I'm gonna pick Totodile simply for his Mega Evolution. I like his Mega Evolution the most. If I didn't have the Mega Evolution spoiled for me, I probably would have picked Chikorita. Because as crazy as it says, or sorry, as crazy as it is to say, like as crazy as it sounds, I think Magnium would be my favorite final evolution of the 3. And again, I know that's a hot take. I know that people generally dislike Magnium, but I like Magnium. So if I didn't have the Mega Evolution spoiled for me, I probably would have picked Magnium, but because I have the Mega Evolution spoiled for me, I'm thinking about picking my boy Totodile. Because I'll be honest with you, as much as I don't really care about Feraligatr, I love his Mega Evolution in this game. Hey, what's up, Don? How you doing? It's my shiny Tepig's name. I have a shiny Pignite named Porkchop. Oh, that's so sad. Those poor pigs. I've not seen the Megas with the exception of Starmie and Feraligatr. So how do you feel about Feraligatr? Because again, I'm not gonna spoil it for people in the chat who, similar to myself, don't like spoilers. But for the people in the chat that know, for the knowers, how do you feel about my boy Feraligatr's final Mega Evolution? I think it's pretty sick, personally. I think it looks sick. I think it's such a cool concept. I really like it. It could be worse. True. I really fuck with it. Glad to hear you're doing good, Don. Wonderful to hear that. I haven't named my shiny Chikorita, Bayleaf, or Magnium. We don't even need to name the Bayleaf. It's already got a nickname. There was... I forget which game it was. Part of me wants to just naturally assume it was Heart Gold and Soul Silver. But I think I'm wrong when I say that out loud. There was a game where I was trying to catch every Pokemon, and I had Chikorita, Bayleaf, and Magnium. And that's why, like, you would think it would be, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because that's the Johto region. But I think it might have been Pokemon Black and White, where I caught all 3 of those Pokemon. And I nicknamed my Chikorita and my Magnium to 2 different, like, herbs and spices. Because Bayleaf is already, like, an herb. So why not name the other 2 Pokemon in that evolution line after an herb? I thought it was funny. I don't remember what I named them. Like, I think I named Magnium Rosemary. I don't remember what I named Chikorita. It was probably something stupid like Parsley. But, yeah, I named my Chikorita and my Magnium. But I didn't name my Bayleaf because Bayleaf already fit the theme. They were already an herb / spice. They were one of the 17 herbs and spices used in KFC chicken. That should honestly be like a challenge playthrough. You know, I feel like everyone does the same challenge playthroughs when it comes to Pokemon games. Like, they'll do a Nuzlocke, or they'll do a Kaizo, or, you know, maybe they'll go and play, like, only one type. I'm only allowed to use water types. But those are, I feel like, common Pokemon challenges. We should make a Pokemon challenge where you're only allowed to use 17 herbs and spices, specifically from the KFC recipe. You get 17 grass-type Pokemon, and they have to look like an herb or a spice. Like, they have to look like a creature that if you plucked it out of the ground, you could use it to cook up, like, a good stew. Or maybe a hearty steak. It's the Pokemon 17 Herbs and Spices Challenge. Can you tell that I feel, like, almost hallucinogenic? Can you tell that I got no sleep? Do I sound like an insane person? Because I feel like an insane person. I don't think if I had 8 hours of sleep, I would be discussing the KFC run, as you called it in the chat. I don't think we would be discussing the KFC challenge in Pokemon if I got a full 8 hours of sleep. That's all I'm saying. Will I apologize for sounding a little crazy? For sounding like a lunatic? No. I refuse to apologize for any of my actions. Taking accountability? Not me, dog. If you want accountability, go find a different streamer. But no, I feel so fucking tired, bro. I feel like I'm going insane. I have 912 out of 1,000 different shinies. 25 of them are shiny locked. So is there exactly 1,000 different shinies? Like, is there 1,000 different Pokemon in the game right now? Or is that, like, an estimated number? Or maybe, another question I should ask you, is that a number based on, like, how many shinies are available right now? No, but I guess that question doesn't make sense if you already said the 25 of them are shiny locks. So that'd be factored in. At least I would assume so. I'd assume it's factored into that math. Excuse me? 6,598. Honestly, I'm surprised we haven't gotten to that many different Pokemon. How long this franchise has been a thing. Like, at the rate Pokemon's going, we might be at 6,000 Pokemon in just a couple years. Oh, that sucks. That's rough. Oh my god, I was reading chat and almost drove off the track, bro. With Koraidon and Miraidon, there are 1,000 different shinies. Really? I didn't think the number would work out to be that even. Like a perfect 1,000. That's shocking to me. I'm currently eating a big cookie. You get like one of those Subway foot-long cookies. I haven't tried those yet, but I heard they're really good with ice cream. However, obviously, Subway does not sell ice cream, so you kind of have to, like, do it yourself. This little YouTube DIY tutorial. I got lucky with those, 4th in line. Oh, did you get both Koraidon and Miraidon? That's very impressive, if so. No, a big circle cookie. You know what that makes me think of, though, when you say it like that? When you describe it as a big circle cookie, it makes me think of those cookie cakes that were really popular for a couple years. And nowadays, you, like, never see those. Which, honestly, I'm kind of glad about that. Because if I was at, like, a birthday party, and their parents got them a cookie cake. Like, let's say, I feel like it was very popular when I was in like middle school. So let's say it's 8th grade, and I'm going over to a friend's house for a birthday party, and I see their parents got them a cookie cake. I'd be disappointed. I would rather a regular cake. I would rather an ice cream cake. I feel like the cookie cake is cool if you're sharing it with friends, and it's like just a random thing you buy. But you shouldn't replace a real cake with a cookie cake. That's just a downgrade. The distribution event was not very good. It just happened to not work that morning. That is a fair point, because I heard a lot of people online. Okay. It spawned me up here at least. Sorry. I saw a lot of people online complaining about not being able to get the shinies. I also saw some insanely just morally corrupt people trying to resell those shiny redemption codes, the little, you know, cards you got from GameStop, which I didn't think was a thing anymore. Maybe they were just scamming. But like, I could have swore they weren't handing out like physical cards with codes on them. I thought that you had to go there in person and they would give you like a code that you had to redeem on your system in person. Yeah, that's the important what am I saying? Oh my god, bro. That's the important distinction. Oh my god. I sound like a crazy person right now. Hey man, at least I am self-aware of the fact that I'm insane. Yeah, like I saw a tweet about people trying to resell their shiny Miraidons and Koraidons. And like, first off, you're an evil person at that rate. Like, what are we doing? Like, I already think you're a bad person if you try to resell, like, say for example Nintendo Switch 2 aftermarket because you were lucky enough to get one and you're trying to take advantage of the people that couldn't get one. I don't know, maybe I'm just a little harsh, but I have no love in my heart for people who resell shit, or like people who go to a Target and the second that red polo Target employee restocks the Pokemon cards like a dragon, they just grab them all, put them in their cart, and they hoard them like gold. It's insane. Like they're a dragon sitting on a pile of gold. But like, I already think those people have like a very special place in hell. I think it's even worse if you're trying to resell a redemption card for shiny Miraidon and Koraidon. That's insane, because like, that's a free thing. That's something that did not cost you money, and you're now trying to financially exploit the people who weren't able to get a card, weren't able to redeem the shinies, because their GameStop had like 5 of them, and they were all gone by the time those resellers got their hands on them. I don't know, man. It's just, to me, it's like the lowest of the low. God dang it, I missed my green shell. I hit myself with the green shell. I'm gonna cry, bro. No way. I'm so sad. I'm sad. I was only able to get Koraidon. Yeah, and like, I'll be honest with you, brother, I don't think that's your fault. Like, in my opinion, it's unfair. that people couldn't get shinies, or some people could only get like one of them. Meanwhile, other people are out here reselling for a crazy upcharge. Put a picture of Cookie in Discord. I'll check it out after this race. Ow. Let's not. Let's just dodge that item. Trying to read chat, but probably focus. That's why. Oh my god, I literally predicted my own demise. That's awkward. Listen, I can be honest with you boys. This was a very, very sloppy third lap. But we won, so it doesn't matter. God, we did not deserve to win that. I was playing so poorly. I will not get any of the overpriced codes from scalpers, mostly because I can't guarantee if they'll even... Yeah, like, you don't know if they'll work, or if they'll be hacked shinies, like... That's the other thing that's really risky. Especially with how quick Pokemon Home is in regards to banning individual Pokemon or individual accounts if they're hacked. Like, I remember when I first set up my Pokemon Home account, I was so scared of putting any Pokemon in there that I didn't catch myself. Like, I was very scared to put any Pokemon I received in a surprise trade into my Pokemon Home account because I didn't want to get banned for having hacked Pokemon in there. My shiny Totodile named Egg number 139. My shiny Crocodile is named Egg number 9. My shiny for Alligator, Egg 188. Wait, that's a crazy combo. Especially if you got all three of those Pokemon in under 200 eggs. Like, even if you were doing Masuda method and your odds were 1 in 400 something, to get all three of those shinies at 109 eggs, like, you got all three for less than the normal odds of one Pokemon. And again, that's assuming you have Shiny Charm, and assuming you're doing the Masuda method. If you weren't doing both of those things, then you got all three of those shinies for an even greater statistical steal. Oh no. Very bad drift. Also pretty bad. I just hate driving in the water. Driving through the water sections in this game are so difficult for me. I mean, same with the airplane. I'll be honest, I suck at both. Anything that isn't driving on land in this game, I am terrible at. Driving in the air, driving in the water, I can't wrap my head around just how the handling works, how you're supposed to drift. Like, my brain just can't figure it out. Maybe that's a sign of me getting old. No. Oh, no, 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 brother. Okay, we need to focus. We're throwing. I hate myself for it. Please stop. Dude. I don't know why, but I just had back-to-back terrible third laps. I'm like choking at the end of the game. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing that. Okay. Well, we at least won the Grand Prix. Let's run it back with another one. Oh, I see the picture you posted in the Discord of what the shiny cards look like. See, that's yeah, like I said, that's what I thought the redemption system was, but I couldn't be certain. Interesting. Okay. Hmm. It makes a little bit more sense now why people were trying to sell them online, and it makes me sad that some people probably had to chill out absurd amounts of money just to afford those things, just to obtain that shiny Miraidon or shiny Koraidon. Like I said, I I know I shouldn't feel bad for them because like if they made the choice to buy a redemption card that was free and shouldn't cost anyone money, like that's on them. Like they're allowed to make their own decisions, and if they want to buy a redemption card from some sketchy seller on eBay, I shouldn't feel bad, but I still do. Because it's, like I said, it's just like not fair to them. And it's also extremely shitty of the reseller to charge a price for something like that. I don't know, man. I have so much distaste towards resellers that even if the person they're like scamming is like an idiot and should know better, I'm still not going to use that as justification to defend the reseller. Like, even if you get scammed into buying a Switch 2 for $3,000 because you think you'll never find another Switch 2 again and that's the only way you'll buy one, like, if you're that stupid of a person, I feel less bad for you, but I still feel bad, and I still won't ever defend someone who's reselling. Especially because, like, in that hypothetical example, at that point, you're just taking advantage of someone who's clearly not very mentally sound if they're buying a Switch 2 for $3,000. Like, you're clearly taking advantage of someone who does not know any better financially. Like, stealing from a baby. Just a little messed up. God. Dude, what is wrong with me tonight? For some reason, I get into the third lap, and I just start making all of these dumb mistakes. And thankfully, like, we have a big enough lead from laps 1 and 2, where we were actually playing well, that I don't have to worry. But I take this lovely lead from driving super flawlessly, very clean driving in laps 1 and 2, and I throw that lead away by making a million mistakes in lap 3. I'm shocked we haven't lost to the CPUs yet. Like, I am very surprised that we have gotten first place every single race, because I feel like I'm playing terribly. If I had an extra, I would just give it to a friend for free. Exactly. Like, that's a normal reaction. That is what a normal person would do. Like I said, I think, you know, there's something skewed in your brain, or maybe you just don't have care for other human beings. Because if you see an event like these shiny cards, these shiny redemption cards, and your first thought is, how can I make money off this? How can I scam people out of their hard-earned dollars to convince them to buy something that was once free? You know, how can I take advantage of the unfortunate? Then I just don't think you're a very good person. At the very least, you're not someone that I want to be around. Oh no, bro. Ooh, bad. wait, I have a shield. Oh my god. I panicked for a second, but we dodged the blue shell. Beautiful, boys. I'm terrible at this. Oh, shoot. I don't know why, but I thought I had a speed boost item. Like, I could see that it was a shield. I know that it was a shield. But for some reason in my brain, I thought it was speed boost. Like I said, though, we are definitely hallucinating right now. I have no clue where I am or what I'm doing. I wouldn't even be able to tell you if I was live on Twitch. I just know that I'm looking at my bed in the corner of my eye, and it is like beckoning to me. It's calling me. It's speaking in tongues, whispering to me to come to bed and fall asleep. It's speaking to me the way that, like, Meagle speaks to the ring in Lord of the Rings. Like, by the end of this live stream, I will have turned from an adult man to a greasy little, like, gray creature. Except instead of walking around the house whispering about the one ring, I'm going to be whispering about my blanket and pillow. People with no friends or something? Genuinely. Like, if you're a reseller, you don't deserve friends. Sorry. I know I'm being a little harsh. And I'm being a little mean. But at the same time, I don't give a fuck. Because those are some of my least favorite people ever. I try to be nice and accepting to most people. But resellers, truthfully, could choke on a brick. Get bent. I don't care. See the line where the pillow meets the sheets and it calls me Moana. You know, maybe that's a better way of personifying it. I equated myself to Smeagol from Lord of the Rings, but you equated me to Moana, which is a much more positive way of looking at things. You know, that's a lot nicer. Makes me feel better about myself. I appreciate that. I don't know why my go-to reaction was comparing myself to a little creature. Moana would have just been a much less self-deprecating option. Just gotta blow my little Minecraft torn as we head into the final lap here. Come on, bro. Oh, that's so unlucky. You know, one thing I would like to improve on if I do try getting into the online racing in this game, I would love to improve on my, like, item strategy and just, like, my ability to actually dodge items. Because as of right now, if I see something coming up behind me, there's like a 50-50 shot if I'm actually able to protect myself and dodge it. Like, unless I have a shield, I'm probably getting hit. Like, if a red shell comes up behind me and I have a green shell to deflect it, there's a good chance I'm going to miss because I either fired the green shell too early or I fire it too late, aka I don't fire it at all. And the red shell hits me while the green shell is still sitting in my inventory. It just, yeah, I don't know. It feels like that window of time is way tighter. It's a much smaller window to dodge items in this game compared to, like, a Mario Kart or something. You know, other arcade shooters. Too many song parodies as a kid made me learn how to ad-lib songs. I mean, it's funny, so I think that's a good trait to have. And you know, there's better things. No, that's not the phrase. There's worse things you can be good at. Like, if anyone tries to make fun of you for one of your hobbies, as long as you're doing something that isn't harming other people, you can always just remind yourself that, like, at least I'm not doing fentanyl on the side of the road right now. You know? Like, one of my hobbies that I'll get made fun of sometimes is my hobby of building keyboards. And I'll admit, it's maybe a little extra. Okay? I usually get made fun of because I have 5 keyboards, and no one needs 5 keyboards. However, I just try to remind myself that at least, you know, I'm not out here whoring myself out on the corner or smoking crack also on the corner. Like, is it necessary for me to own 5 keyboards? No, I can admit that. However, it's become a collection at this point, and I like building and collecting different types of keyboards. Oh my god, this is what I get for trying to read chat. That's so dumb, bro. There's no price for them. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm really excited to play Pokemon tomorrow, but I'm worried that if I don't get enough sleep tonight, my live stream tomorrow is just going to be very similar to the one we're doing right now, where I feel as though I am hallucinating, and I probably won't remember any of this by the time I wake up tomorrow. If anything, y'all might as well take advantage of that. Like I said, I'm out here seeing ghosts in my bedroom. There are like flowers dancing on the walls. Straight up hallucinating. We can turn this into an Ask Me Anything stream and the questions could get wild. Smash or Pass Sonic Characters Edition. Normally, I wouldn't do that. But, no. I could be convinced tonight. Especially if I know I'm not going to remember it tomorrow. Fuck it, we can do a Smash or Pass. Egg Pawn, Smash. Sorry. Gaslight Wolf in a Dream Walking. Yeah. Just start convincing me to sleepwalk across my house. Go, like, retrieve a random-ass object for y'all. Like, oh no, I forgot the wind. Dude, it always blows me into that off-road section. And I always forget it's gonna happen, so I get surprised every time. I just don't like this course, bro. This course is so difficult. I press the wrong button. I'm so sad. There's no way. Dude, this course is my least favorite. Hands down. I hate it so much. Hey, what's up, Polar X? How you doing? I'm just so bad when it comes to not only drifting on ice, but then also trying to counteract the wind that is actively blowing your cart all around. I just have no clue how to survive. how to not drive immediately off the map. This game's really awesome. I know I've been having so much fun playing this game. Part of me is going to miss it a little bit, I'll be honest. Now, I should clarify. I'll play the game again. When I say that I'm going to miss the game, it's not because, like, I'm quitting. You know, I'll still play. But I'm probably not going to play as much in the future as we have, like, today, for example. Or like, this week, even. And I think that's just because I want to wait for the new DLC to come out before we really get back into this game. Because after tonight, we will have done all of the single-player content, as well as be caught up with all of the current DLC content. And obviously, you know, we can go play online. Just because we finished the single-player mode doesn't mean that the game is over. Like, we can still play online races. But I think with the new Pokemon game coming out tomorrow, and also just a handful of video games I still need to play for, like, the first time ever, like, my backlog of video games is overwhelming. It's snowballing. It's almost anxiety-inducing. And because there's so many other games I want to play, as much as I love this game, I'm probably not gonna play it consistently. Like, when the new DLC comes out, sure, we'll play it. But I don't know, it almost makes me sad to say that, like I said. Yeah, and the 3DS market is literally endless. Like, I have enough 3DS games that I just own physically. And then also there's so many games that you can get digitally or you can mod into your system that I could literally just become a 3DS live streamer and we'd have content for years. Like, we wouldn't run out of content until the next decade, bro. So, again, love this game. This game's amazing. But if I had to pick between, like, playing New Super Mario Bros. On the DS or this game, I'm gonna pick New Super Mario Bros. Especially after, like, we've beaten the game. I think that's the important distinction. I always time that shortcut so wrong, bro. I'm terrible. Yeah, that's the important distinction there. It's not that, you know, I don't like this game. But after tonight, we will finish the single player content in this game. Sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you guys. I just, I'm so tired I can't even talk properly. And therefore, with the single player content in this game being finished after tonight, I'd rather just go play a different single player game. Like New Super Mario Bros. On the DS. Completely agree with you. The power of nostalgia, really. 100%, brother. You're not wrong. Oh my god, what am I doing? Dude, I just gave myself a full-on concussion. That was CTE simulator right there. It's crazy. First off. You hopping on the Pokemon game tomorrow? Yes, I am. So the plan is that I will be streaming it around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Because I do work tomorrow. However, I used 4 hours of PTO to get off of work 4 hours early. So I'm going to drive home, pick up the game from the gaming store that I have it pre-ordered at. I've talked about this store a lot on stream, but it's a fun, cute little like mom and pop shop. Like, it's just a nice little retro gaming store, and they have really fair prices. It's the store where I bought my 3DS from, the 3DS that I'm specifically using to live stream. And sure, it's a little scuffed up and such, but it works. And also, I got it for really cheap because it was scuffed up. Like, they had it at an insane discount. Surprisingly enough, I didn't play any Pokemon games. Which one do you recommend? Like, sorry, just to clarify, you're asking me for a recommendation of, like, your first Pokemon game ever? That's so tough. Because I have answers that I want to say, but I don't know if they're good as a first Pokemon game. Like, I think they're really good Pokemon games. I think they're really good video games. But they are appreciated more as someone who has already played the series and knows what to expect and you know, has that understanding of Pokemon as a franchise. Yes, my first Pokemon game ever. Dude, okay. It's so tough. Because, like, my two favorite Pokemon games of all time are Heart Gold and Soul Silver or Black and White 2. Like, those games are in the top 2 slots for me. However, I don't think I could recommend either of those as your first game ever, because they're both sequels, and therefore you kind of have to play the original to appreciate it. Not so much with Heart Gold and Soul Silver. You don't need to play the original Gold and Silver to play Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but it does help you kind of appreciate the game a bit more, and also it fixes a lot of the problems from Gold and Silver. I will say, though, those games don't have the best pacing, so if you're not a Pokemon fan going into them, it might annoy you, because you might not have, like, the tolerance for a game with pacing that slow. And, you know, with Black and White 2, it's kind of the same logic I gave earlier of it being a sequel. Like, I love Black and White 2. I think Black and White 2 might be my favorite video game ever in my entire life. But I can't recommend a sequel. For our first game, let's try Let's Go Pikachu. I would not say that. I think Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are so different than every other Pokemon game that if you started with those, whether you like those games or not, you're going to expect other Pokemon games to play like that, and they don't. I still like the level grind of Gen 5 and below. I agree with that 100%. I enjoy grinding in an RPG, but I know some people don't, which is why I didn't want to recommend Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because those games can get very grindy. Okay. Here's my answer. I think one of the best Pokemon games you can start with without the expectation of, like, needing to know the lore or having to play the first game before you play a sequel is probably Pokemon Platinum. And I say that with the understanding that I don't think Pokemon Platinum is the best game. I wouldn't even put it in my top 3. It might not even be in my top 5. But it is a really good game for a first-time player. I can acknowledge that. even though it's not in my top 5, and I have a much different criteria for what I, judge a Pokemon game off of due to being a longtime Pokemon fan. For a first-time Pokemon player, Platinum is a good choice. If you're willing to put up with a little bit of grindiness and not, caring about knowing the lore ahead of time, I would say Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And again, those aren't my favorite games either. Like, I like Black and White 2 more. Black and White 2, as I've said once already, are my favorite video games of all time. But you really need to play Black and White 1 to appreciate Black and White 2 to the fullest. And Black and White 1 are not good options for a first Pokemon game. So I don't want to try to, gaslight you and say, well, play Black and White 1, and then you'll love Black and White 2. That's admittedly asking a bit much of you. I can acknowledge that. However, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you don't need to play you don't need to play Gold and Silver to appreciate Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It doesn't carry as much weight, and it's not as much of a true sequel as Black and White are. Like, Black and White 2 are much more of a sequel and require much more knowledge of the lore than Black and White 1. Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it's not necessary. It'll help, which is why I'm only recommending it if you don't care about that. You don't really care about learning the lore first. I think those games are better than Pokemon Platinum. But, and it hurts me to say this because I have to put my bias aside. I want to recommend you a million games. But the one I recommend the most for a first-time player is probably Platinum. It's not in my time. It's a good game. It's a good game. I don't want to talk shit on it. I'm not trying to underwhelm you. It is a very good game. It's just not in my top 5. But I can still, respect it for what it is. Game respects game. Anyways, that was a very long and convoluted answer to such a simple question. But I think that just goes to show how much I care about Pokemon. How much of an impact those games have had on my life. Sorry, I missed some chat messages while I was going on that rant, so I'm going to catch up real quick. I will be hopping on the Pokemon game tomorrow. I think I answered that already, but just to reiterate, it should be going live around 2 p.m. We'll see. Ooh, Drac, you're almost done with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's kind of impressive. I still haven't even beaten those games. Welcome back, Don. How much did you snag your 3DS for? Oh my god, dude. I'm going crazy. I tried to go reach for it on my little desk over here, and it wasn't there, and I got scared. It's because the 3DS is sitting on my computer desk. It's sitting right in front of me. So I got the 3DS, a case for it, as well as a brand new stylus, because the 3DS didn't come with a stylus. Whoever returned the system didn't return it with a stylus. So I got those 3 things for $180, which I was very happy with, especially the case. I needed a case for this 3DS, not only because I really, really wanted to make sure I was protecting it and treating it carefully. I don't want to damage this system, and I definitely don't want to damage the capture card inside of this system. But the other reason I was very happy to buy a case with it is because I have run out of spots for my DS and 3DS cartridges in my other 3DS case. I have a 3DS case sitting on my dresser behind me. And that case is full to the brim of, I think it's either 20 or 24 games. I forget how many slots are sitting in that case back there. That case either holds 20 or 25. No, sorry, 20 or 24 games. Because they're in rows of 4. I just don't know if it's 5 rows of 4 or 6 rows of 4. It doesn't matter. I've got like 20 games back there. And I had no space for some of my other games. And you know what's sad? I bought this case to go along with the 3DS. And this case is already almost full of games as well. Like, I have a case of games sitting back there. And a case of games sitting on my desk. And both cases are almost full. Well, that one actually is full. This one's missing 3 games. I have my 3DS games, ooh, wrong way. 3DS games in the top folder, DS games in the bottom folder. I got 3 slots left. And then I'll have to either buy another case or like a, I don't know, a little Ziploc bag to keep my DS games in. That feels disrespectful though. I don't know if I want to keep them in a loose Ziploc bag. Not a bad price. You could always shell swap as well. Yeah, I've considered it. I don't know where I would buy a 3DS shell from though. Like, maybe I'm just not looking in the right places. But at least from my experience, like I have found Game Boy shells really, really easily online. Or like a DS Lite shell really, really easily online. You can also obviously find the new 3DS like swappable shells on that original model really easy online. But what I have not been able to find, at least with much success, is shells for the new 3DS XL model. But it's something I've considered looking into. At the same time, though, I don't hate the way it looks in its current state. Like, sure, it's scuffed, but I love the red 3DS model. I mean, not only is red my favorite color, but I just love the way the red 3DS XL new... Sorry, I said it out of order. I love the way the new 3DS XL Generation 2 MacBook Pro looks. Oh my god, where am I going? Just turn, brother. No, I ran right into it. What are we doing? Dude, something is wrong with me. Red is a beauty that deserves its appreciation. Exactly, and that's, like I said, that's why I don't want to swap out the shell, at least not right away. Maybe if I want like a change of pace, a change of scenery, then we'll swap it out. But I've only had this DS for a couple months, so I'm not like bored of it yet. Like I said, I love the red color, so they're not complaining. Go AliExpress and it's like $10? Really? Okay. I'll definitely consider it then. I would want something like themed though. Like, I don't know if I would want to do a Pokemon 3DS because I'm already like trying to collect Pokemon Game Boys, and I also want the Pokemon Black and White themed DS Lights. Or no, they were DSIs. DSIs. I want those DSIs and I want the Pokemon Game Boys. And my plan is to slowly add them to my collection over time. Therefore, it would feel a little redundant to also get a Pokemon 3DS. And maybe try like another video game franchise that I don't own a custom system in. Like I have a custom Legend of Zelda 3DS, so I don't need Legend of Zelda. I don't need Pokemon. What's another game that I would want? I don't know. Sorry. It made me think of it because we're playing as the Creeper from Minecraft, but we could do a Creeper 3DS. That'd be funny. That'd be very funny. Man, I keep missing chat messages. I'm so sorry, guys. Something wrong with me today. I'm blaming it on the fact that we got less than 5 hours of sleep. I'm not lying with y'all. If there was no one in the chat to talk to right now, and I wasn't talking to myself to keep myself awake, I could easily just pass out right now, live on camera. Just like put my head down on the desk and immediately fall asleep. Cheat XP. Sorry. I've never heard someone call it cheat XP share before instead of EXP share. That's honestly really funny. No, I agree though. I'm not a big fan of the EXP share in Gen 6 and afterwards. I especially hate how easy XP grinding got in games like Sword and Shield, where you can just go do a couple raids and get some EXP candies, and those EXP candies will like level your Pokemon up 20 levels. It's so insane. And in my opinion, so overpowered. I don't mind a grindy game. I enjoy most grinds. The lore is worth learning, I think. At least the lore of like the older games. I think the lore of like generations 1 through 5, even generation 6, is pretty good. They start to lose the plot for me in Gen 7, especially because generation 7 is just exposition central, bro. Dude, I swear to God, they created the character of Hop just to give you endless exposition. Also, I'll be honest, I can't remember if Hop is the one from Generation 8 or Generation 7, because they look exactly the same, and they both kind of serve the same purpose, which is just being a constant annoyance of exposition. Just mouth vomit amounts of exposition. And that's how you know I don't care about those characters, because I can't even remember the name of the other one. I know Hop is one of them. Can't remember if Hop's the one from Gen 8 or Gen 7. But they're both basically the same in my eyes, and I care about them equally not at all. I care about them both to a degree that is so small, it might as well be infinitely zero. It's like one of those imaginary numbers you learn about in calculus. I don't give a fuck. I really hate those characters. And again, I can't even remember one of their names. That shows you how little I care about them. Hop might be one of my least favorite characters of all time in any Pokemon game. But yeah, if you don't care about grinding, I would heavily recommend Heart Gold and Soul Silver. There's not really much of a difference between them. That's something you'll learn when playing Pokemon games. Like, Pokemon games will always come out in pairs of 2, sometimes with a third release a year or 2 later that adds bonus content. And while the bonus content is worth it, when it comes to deciding between like the pair of games, like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which I should mention don't have a third game, so you can only pick between those two, there's like no difference. It's just a matter of which Pokemon you like more. Because in one game, you can catch some of these Pokemon, and in the other game, you get to catch some of these Pokemon. So depending on which of those exclusive Pokemon you like more, or you think look cooler, you can use that to help you determine which game to pick, but other than that, it really doesn't matter which one you pick, Heart Gold or Soul Silver. I definitely recommend those games though. They're just so good, and the music's so good. And it has like beautiful sprite work. I think that's something that Pokemon is very underrated for, especially on the DS. The sprite work is just gorgeous. And I think sprite art is very underrated. Like, people think it's just very easy to create a sprite that looks good and it's just, you know, pixel art. But there is a wide gap and a huge difference between good sprite work and bad sprite work. And I think the older Pokemon games do that really well. Like, they do sprite art justice in those games. my god, bro. No. I was looking at the chat. I look back, and I'm running into a wall while actively getting my skull crushed by a 500-pound weight. Lord have mercy. There is a major difference between Black and White 2, as well as Sun and Moon versus Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I agree. I agree, Sam. And like I said, as much as I love Black and White 2, I feel like it's a difficult game to sell to people sometimes. Like when I try to recommend those games to friends or chat members or even like people I talk to online. It's so difficult to encourage people to go play Black and White 2 and Black and White 1 aren't necessarily bad games, but they're far inferior. And you kind of have to play Black and White 1 to truly appreciate Black and White 2, which also makes it difficult because you have to play a far inferior game to truly enjoy how amazing Black and White 2 are. Just how superior they are compared to the rest of the Pokemon franchise. Like, I'll die on that hill, but I acknowledge you're asking a lot of people when you tell them to play Black and White and Black and White 2. But I think having that experience and playing them in order, the way I did growing up, it made me just fall in love with Black and White 2. I don't know. I could talk all day about how much I love those games. There's a reason they're my favorite games of all time. And I've played a lot of games. Alright? I'm not a full, degenerate. I do have a wife, so I don't play games every day, but I've played a lot of games. I used to be a degenerate though, so that's not me making fun of you. If you are one in the chat, I can relate to you. And listen, if I didn't marry her, I'd still be playing games every day. So, like I said, I've lived that life, and sometimes I miss that life. Don't tell my wife I said that. You can always get those mini cases for the games themselves, then ziplock them. That's not a bad idea. Another thing I've thought about doing is going online and buying like knockoff cases for the games, or I guess boxes is a better word, because a lot of the DS and 3DS games I own, I don't have the original like box for them. I don't have the box that they were purchased in, because I usually buy my games secondhand. And while sure you can find secondhand games complete in box, it's extremely difficult to do that, and it's also way more expensive. So just to save money and to save my time, I oftentimes will just buy a game without the box. But as the collector in me gets more and more into buying retro games and collecting retro games, I'm kind of looking to start maybe buying some of those boxes, and instead of trying to buy legit Game Boy Advance boxes, which are really hard to find because they were basically shipped in this really thin cardboard box that nowadays most of them have either been thrown away or just damaged completely. Instead of trying to buy authentic boxes for my games, I've considered going online and buying knockoffs, which are much cheaper. And also, a lot of knockoff video game boxes exist. Like, you can find them real easy. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I do run out of space in the 2 cases that I'm currently keeping my games in, I'll just start buying boxes to keep them in. That way it looks like a real collection. I think I'm going to use this item on the shortcut coming up here. Ooh, bad drift, bad drift. That's a yikes. Beautiful. See, I'm starting to appreciate this coin item way more than I ever have. when I first started playing this game, I thought the coin item was stupid and just like a waste of your time. You know, if I'm in first place, I don't want coins. I want defense. But the fact that you can use the coins to take shortcuts because it gives you enough of a speed boost that the off-road doesn't slow you down, it's amazing. It's phenomenal. My friend got a Pikachu 3DS LL for $600. I proceeded to ask him why. Yeah, that's insane. I understand wanting to like own original hardware. Like, for example, I was saying earlier how I want to collect the Pokemon DSIs. However, the 2 Pokemon DSIs they made, specifically for Pokemon Black and Pokemon White, are extremely rare because not a lot of them were sold. And therefore, if I want a legit system that is the Nintendo DSi Pokemon White Edition or Pokemon Black Edition, if I want a legit console, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg. And I, love to collect, but maybe I'm just not that serious about collecting. Maybe I'm too poor to be a legit collector. But I would rather buy a DSi and then just slap some shells on it that make it look like the Pokemon Black and White DSi. Like, I'd rather just buy a knockoff shell and put that shell on the system than spend hundreds of dollars to buy an original. And call me a fake collector, that's fine, but what you should be calling me instead is poor, because that's what I am. I'm just too poor to own those systems legitimately. So, I don't know, man. I think, like, buying a $600 3DS, it's a choice. I'm not going to judge it, but I definitely can't relate to it, because that's out of my tax bracket. But how do we even get on this topic? Oh yeah, I've honestly heavily considered it. Like, I straight up might just buy 2 really cheap DSIs and replace the shells on them with the Pokemon Black and White shells, because I really, really want those systems. That is like #1 top of my list when it comes to console collecting. It is the highest priority for me. The thing I want to add to my collection the most right now are those Pokemon Black and White DSIs. Because like I said, I love Black and White. They're my favorite video games of all time. So it would just make sense if I owned the DSi handhelds, the DSi systems, of those games. Minecraft on the 3DS, what are we going to build? Dude, we should play Minecraft on the 3DS. I think that would be such a fun stream. It would be a gimmicky stream for sure. Like, I acknowledge it's a bit of a gimmick. But it's a funny gimmick, at least. It's not like, it's not like we're doing something stupid. We're not doing something stupid for views. We're just doing something a little funny, a little quirky, a little random. I think far inferior is a little much in reference to my comment about Black and White versus Black and White 2. I'm not trying to talk badly about Black and White. I still like those games. And I agree with what you said in the chat. Black and White do give off more of a laid-back kind of country vibe as you slowly build into this hero role and you learn the world around you. But one issue I have with Black and White is the story feels extremely linear, and the gameplay is linear. There's a reason I use those 2 different phrasings, because I think there's an argument to be made that the story isn't linear. And I don't think it is, if you play, like, the whole game. But if you're just going for like a bare bones any percent run of that game, it's going to be pretty linear. However, like I said, the story is only linear on the surface. If you go looking for plot, you'll find a lot of plot. You'll find a lot of lore, and you'll find a game that at least isn't linear in its narrative. However, I think the gameplay of Black and White can be very linear, and it's one huge complaint I have about that game. But I do agree. Maybe I'm being a little harsh in calling them far inferior games, because I'll even acknowledge that I like those games. So calling them inferior isn't maybe the right wording. I just think in the context of comparing them to Black and White 2, they are inferior. But I definitely see your point, and maybe I am being a little harsh. But no, yeah, I don't know. I love Black and White 2 with all my heart, and I think that bias also makes me a little bit more harsh on Black and White 1, because they aren't Black and White 2, you know? And that's also probably unfair, because Black and White 1 do such a good job of building up the story for Black and White 2. So then giving them no credit, in retrospect, is maybe unfair. Maybe a little mean. Alright, I can acknowledge that. Oh my god, bro. I feel like we're making so many mistakes tonight, yet we're somehow having more success than, like, our last 2 live streams. In the last 2 live streams, I would lose races, or I was struggling to beat the time trials, and I felt like I was playing way better than I am tonight. However, I think the saving grace for this live stream is we're playing 200cc, so we're able to get a much bigger lead over the CPUs and create much more distance between us and the CPUs, because I just don't think the CPUs know how to play 200cc. They're very inefficient in the way they drive. You say linear as if Galar doesn't exist. Listen, I don't disagree with you. I am not a fan of Galar. Like, I don't really like Galar. It'd be in my bottom 3. It would just be a question of whether or not it's second to last or third to last. I don't know. My rankings of Pokemon games literally change daily. It changes on the like gust of a wind. Gust of a wind? That's not a fucking phrase. My opinions on Pokemon games and my rankings of Pokemon games will change based off like what I had to eat that morning or what my mood ring is telling me. Is it a blue day or a red day? Am I feeling somber or angry? Like, so it's a little difficult for me to truly rank the Galar region, but it's definitely bottom 3 for me. Galinier. You're not wrong. Pokemon Go had a level increase update, and I went from level 43 to 66? Oh my god. So what's the max level in Pokemon Go now? Is it... I don't want to assume, but maybe 66? I like the action pacing for Black and White 2, giving you cool vigilante vibes from the beginning. Yeah, dude, I love Black and White 2. I think the pacing is near perfect. I love that it's like almost a completely different playthrough than Black and White 1, even though they take place in the same region. They also made the game not linear, which fixed the problems. One of the only problems I had with Black and White 1. I just, like I said, I feel bad because tonight's live stream, at least for like the last hour of the live stream, has just been me glazing Black and White 2, but they're my favorite games of all time, so how can I not? What did Automod ban, by the way, Sam? I didn't see it because I'm looking at my multi-stream chat, not my Twitch chat, so I can't see the mod message right now. To be fair, Automod goes a little above and beyond sometimes. Auto mod is oftentimes just doing too much. Like, I have auto mod turned to level 1 for slurs, and I think level 1 for inappropriate language. But other than that, I have auto mod turned to level 0, meaning no protection for the rest of the categories, like harassment or cursing. Like, I don't have auto mod turned on for those things, yet auto mod will still block messages that have like the word damn in them. Like, that's neither a slur nor like inappropriate messaging. But auto mod is just, it's doing too much sometimes. This is the last race of the stream, by the way. I probably should have said that before we were halfway through. Before the race is almost over. But this is our last race of the live stream, so I'm trying to play a little bit better. I want to end the stream on a high note, and I think we are already doing a lot better. We haven't made any embarrassing mistakes yet. Like I said, I want to end the stream on a positive note. I think we're doing a good job. Okay, that was close. Almost got stuck there. Drop that item just for a sec. Beautiful. Look at us go. I feel good. We're not going to talk about that. Alright. Overall, that was a pretty clean race. And a good race to end on. Alright, so with that, we have officially finished pretty much all of the single player content. You know, there's some achievements we haven't unlocked yet. We haven't purchased every single gadget or every single, you know, sticker that you can put on a car. But also, that's the kind of stuff that I would never do on live stream because it's so boring. Unlocking all of that and grinding for all of those items would be comatose content. So, as far as beating the single player game in a way that wouldn't put all of my viewers to sleep and make all of you unfollow me, we're done. That was the last Grand Prix. We're done with Grand Prix. We did all the time trials. We beat Race Park. And again, that's not to say that we're never going to play this game again. We can still play online multiplayer, and there's still DLC coming out in the future. But I think I'm going to wait for some of that DLC to release before I play again. You know what I mean? Otherwise, though, this is a really fun stream. Level 80 is the max now? Oh my god. Well, good luck. I mean, the fact that you're level 66 is kind of crazy on its own. Oh no. He struggles to get on the bed. He's get off of my clothes. The dog, I'm so certain it's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a game theory. It's a fact. This dog that we have purposefully will lay on my clothes, my clean clothes, just to make them dirty. It's because he loves me? I don't know if that's true. I think the only person he likes is you. Especially because I didn't grow up with this dog. He probably looks at me like an outsider. Like the other. No. That's what happens though when you marry into a dog. You know how like you'll marry into a family, or worse, marry into children? I married into a dog that just gets hair everywhere. And he won't even be nice to me, bro. Yeah. Anyways, let me read these last couple chat messages, and then we'll get out of here. There's a thing in Japan I used to do where I would go find old Japanese Pokemon DS and GBA games and see what Pokemon they had left behind. It's so funny you say that, because I literally have a series that I used to do on TikTok when I was buying every Pokemon game. Because like I said, over the course of like 2 years, was slowly collecting every single Pokemon game. And when I was doing that, I would buy a game and make a TikTok showing off the Pokemon that they had in that game. I would just do a little showcase, a little preview. And those were the TikToks that I think got me the most views, actually. Let me double check. I don't want to be lying to y'all. Because like most of my TikToks would only get a couple hundred or a couple thousand views. But as of right now, the TikTok on my account with the most views is at 650,000. And it's exactly that. Exactly that type of video, that content we were just talking about in the chat. It's me showing off a save file of Pokemon Diamond of a kid who owned it before me named Joey, and he had 28300. Oh my god, I repeated myself. 28300 hours in the game. Yeah, kind of crazy. That was a throwback TikTok too. That was a couple years ago I made that. So you always got legit Pokemon? No, not always. I think there was definitely one game I got that was hacked. But that account that I was just telling you about, the kid that had 283 hours of Pokemon Diamond, that account was legit, and it had a lot of good Pokemon. It had a lot of good Pokemon in it. In Japan, they typically never hack them because they find it dishonorable. I find it dishonorable as well. If you hack Pokemon into the game, the Lord will watch. He will see, and he will judge. The last 5 minutes of the stream. Oh yeah, this is the race. The last race. The stream. The last race we ever do in Sonic. No. I promise we'll play again. Might just be a little while, because Pokemon comes out tomorrow, and I'm playing nothing but Pokemon for like the next week. Tomorrow. Alright. Good luck on your shiny Corsola hunt, Drac. Good luck to anyone who's playing the new Pokemon game tomorrow. And good luck to Polarex for playing their first Pokemon game. Listen, I support that. I would watch that content. Especially if you're playing Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I wish I could play those games for the first time again. If there's anything I could erase from my memory, it's not the family of 4 that I killed in a planned arson. It would be playing Black and White 2 again, or playing like Heart Gold and Soul Silver again, just so I could experience it for the first time. It would be beautiful. And it is a beautiful game. So, have fun. Thank you to everyone that showed up. Have a wonderful night, Sam. And I'll see y'all tomorrow.